Yo, what's up?
Hello. Good morning,
morning.
afternoon, evening,
Yes.
potentially.
Good morning to everyone and good other times of the day to everyone else. Welcome back to What's Going On. Grace, how are you this morning?
I'm good. It's actually sunny for another day in San Francisco. It was like pouring rain yesterday, so I think it's a nice change of pace. How's the weather out there? Is it getting colder in New York?
It's cold. Yeah, it's chilly. It's my first New York winter, so working it out.
Wow.
But the high today is 44.
Okay, so that's cold. Yeah,
it's getting cold. But I'm gonna stick with it. I'm all good. Hope all of you are all good at home. Hope your week was brightened up by the release of Spotify Wrapped, the experience that everyone looks forward to every year. Really,
it's Spotify Wrapped season.
It is.
It's like a season now. It's like these corporate seasons. Like September 1st is pumpkin spice latte, Starbucks. Spotify Wrapped, I guess now is like first week of December vibes.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's Wrapped season. So I want to hear from you all. Usually we ask, where you're from or whatever.
Right.
If you guys have done your Spotify Wrapped, who was your Spotify Wrapped? If you use Apple Music, I'm sorry. This is a little exclusive.
Well, I guess you could do your Apple Music thing too. They do their own version. So just
you can do your Apple
top
Music
artist. Anything shocking about your Spotify Wrapped? What about you, Jack?
Yeah. Nothing shocking for me. I've had the same artist top for like 4 years in a row.
Nice.
Which is, I can show you mine. It's Charlie XCX.
Yes.
You all are familiar with her. Then Beyonce. You guys better be familiar with her. Then Clairo. And then JoJo was a surprise, I guess. Too Little Too Late. The good old JoJo from a while ago. And a little pop duo called Magdalena Bay. Nice. How about you, Grace? Who's on your Wrapped?
My Wrapped was a little bit surprising just because my top artist was Polo and Pan. Here, I can share it out, I guess, if this focuses. And it's not going to focus.
You have the blur. Anyway, the blur effect.
I got the blur. Top artist was Polo and Pan, who I discovered this year. But the surprising thing was I was in their top 0.05% of listeners, which I did not expect at all. I thought these guys were really popular and everyone listened to them, and I was just like another person jumping on the train. But here I was, like, going day in, day out, I guess, listening to them all the time. Like almost all 5 of my top songs were from them. So
wow.
I guess I went really hardcore. Yeah.
Secret music nerd.
Yeah. What was your when they did the personality type thing? What was yours?
Oh yeah. I didn't care about that, so I didn't save it, but I can look. I didn't really understand that. Like, sometimes I feel like with Spotify Wrapped, they just kind of say stuff, and it doesn't really mean anything. Like in the mornings, you listen to comfortable pop confidence. I'm like, what?
It's so funny too because I feel like people latch on to different aspects of it. Like I've definitely seen people on social media being like, "Whoa, this is so accurate. This is my mood in the morning, evening, and night." And it's like, I also didn't really care about those random adjectives they were giving me, and some of them were really they were like, "Oh, it's lit," like empowering. I don't know. It was interesting word choice. Okay.
Yeah.
Tina is out here as the adventurer.
Tina. Tina's the adventurer. ENVU. Wait, did they give us
Yeah, they were trying to make it Yeah, they were trying to make it like a Myers-Briggs personality type or something.
Ooh.
I also got adventurer. And I think this is why I'm asking, because everyone I know has gotten adventurer. And I was like, how many of
All
these
right.
are there?
I
I don't
gotta
know.
find
Some
out.
part of me, is like, are they just like, because some of some of the text is like everyone is getting the same text, but some of it's actually personalized, and I sometimes can't tell which one is the personalized section. So
Okay, here's
what
mine.
did you
I
get? One?
got.
Okay.
They're taking forever to show it. The Voyager.
Oh, okay.
ENLC.
Interesting. The Voyager.
I don't know. It's also interesting that they say that care about exploration and newness when I feel like I listen to the same music every single day for years.
That's fair.
But
Oh,
anyway, let's move on from this and let's talk about the strategic things that actually make Spotify Wrapped so interesting.
yeah.
So I feel like last year maybe was probably the first year that Spotify Wrapped became super viral. I don't know. I don't know your take. I feel like this year maybe it wasn't even as viral as last year. But what do you think it is about Spotify Wrapped that makes people care so much to share it on their socials naturally?
Right.
Because this is really like I feel like a product that took off without much marketing, like paid marketing, and was really like a user, like
Seemed
it
pretty
grew from the
organic.
users. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting question because I think there's multiple factors. One, they've been doing this for a while. Like, I think they've been doing this for at least 3 or 4 years at this point. And so I feel like with that kind of thing where people look forward to it. Same thing with the pumpkin spice latte. It's like, if you know it's going to be this day of this time of year, you're on going to get into the vibe, you look forward to it. And so over time, I think people who are on Spotify have started looking forward to it more and more. But I feel like what really, like, why people looked forward to it, I think that comes down to there's something about music, and maybe we can talk about if this is the same with other types of content, but there's something about music where people very much identify with like what they listen to and want to share that with others. I think like just the feeling I get when I look at my Spotify Wrapped is like, oh, whoa, this is such interesting data on my listening habits that you don't really see day to day. Like a lot of these companies don't make that data necessarily accessible to you. So this is like a summary of how I've listened to things this year. And I don't know, I just have this instinct of like, oh, I want to share that at least with like my close friends. And I think for some people it's like, yeah, I want to share that with like as many people as I can because like this is my identity in a way. I think there's some aspect of that. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's totally right. I think also like, yeah, music is inherently social. I think like whether you're playing it together and you need multiple people to work together to actually make a song, or if you're going to see live music, there's other people around you and like there's an energy there, knowing that like everyone there, like you want to be a part of a good crowd and you want to be like, you don't want to look like a poser too, like you want to be like someone who really loves the music there. And so I think there's like just things within music that are social, which is interesting because like maybe there has and I just don't use it, but I feel like there's never been a super successful music social media, but there is like music it's almost spiritual, like it really, I feel like people pour their identity into it, like you said. And a lot of people find like comfort or it's a way of like altering the mood, which is like a super important human like capability. So
yeah, I also feel like that almost with music there is a built-in community. Like by definition, if you are a fan of someone who creates music, there are other fans, and so you're already this like community and you experience emotional, like you go through emotions together through the music, whether that's live, whether that's remote and you're listening just by yourself. I think like there's this stronger aspect of community that I think other types of content don't always have. Like when I think about the way I listen or watch like YouTube or TikTok, sometimes I don't really care about the person. I just really care about like whatever they're saying. And there's not as much of a way to experience caring about that person or their content creator together in like the way that music has concerts and like you can listen together. So I think that's like what makes like music successful is these communities. Like so many of these musicians have like the fan bases have names, and that's like one sign of that too.
Right. We have a comment here that says, so MySpace, which is kind of revolved around music. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
That's true.
Unfortunately, it phased out though, and it makes me wonder, like, can there ever be a social media that is just surrounding music? Like, I feel like a part of me feels like Spotify could implement like a lot of features that would like make social more robust, where they could have like, I don't know, message boards, sort of like Reddit, or they could have like instant messaging, DMing, so you could send things to people more easily. Or make posts sharing a song, or post, like, I feel like Twitter, a huge thing on Twitter is like people posting like fan cams of like their favorite artists trying to get views. Like, there could be stuff like that. And I'm not sure if like, I don't know, like, will they just always do that on another piece of infrastructure that's not just for music, but for any type of interest, which social media can be. Snoopy here. You don't want to share your Wrapped? I didn't share my Wrapped. I don't do it. I don't think I don't know. I shared it on here, I guess, because we're talking about it. But I don't think it's important to share your Wrapped.
Yeah, no, I think like sharing, I don't think it matters. Like if you don't want to share your Wrapped, that's totally fine. I think most people though, I think there is this instinct of like at least sharing it with one other friend. And I think that instinct is what has like led to this exponential growth for the Spotify Wrapped trend of like, even if you just share it with one person, then that one person's going to look at theirs and maybe they share it. It's like, this viral effect. But I think that's like, there's lots of people that don't share it too. Going back to what you're saying though, I guess like, do you feel like Spotify is a social media platform today?
It's tough. I feel lukewarm about it. Like, I feel like there are some social aspects. So like you have on your side, you see your feed and you can see like everything that like the people you follow are listening to.
Right.
But that I feel like is probably like the extent of it. I guess you can share playlists with people, and you can make like shared playlists with people where it'll like intertwine your music tastes, and make a shared playlist. But even then, like that's not super interactive. So I'm not sure if I consider it really a social platform yet, but I feel like they have a ton of room. Like they could release a lot of features to make that more robust. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word social media platform to describe Spotify right now. I think I can see how some people might, but I personally don't think that fits in yet. And I think like the social part, it feels lacking there. Like when I think, I'm like not even sure. Okay, I feel like I would definitely describe Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as social media. Maybe Snapchat too. Snapchat, yeah. But like, honestly, I'm not even sure I would say YouTube is a social media. I think it's becoming more and more like fitting into that category. And I think like when I inspect like what is the difference between all these things, YouTube doesn't have like DMs at all.
Yeah.
So they have, comments on single videos, but at least even TikTok has DMs. I think that feeling of like being able to connect with people individually feels like essential to a social media platform, but maybe that's also an outdated notion, and like things will become, I mean, we've seen like a lot of these platforms now, like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, it's all becoming very, it's like according to an algorithm. It's not like you follow your friends on there. It's
Mhm.
you're getting recommended stuff. And Spotify
Yeah.
does do that. They do recommend stuff. So I would say not right now, but yeah, I think if they added more like interactive features they could get into that realm.
Right.
I wonder if they're like already thinking about that.
Right. Yeah. It feels right now actually, yeah, like Spotify's more of like a opposite almost of social media. Like it's a personal media platform because like you said, there are personalized experiences. Like there are suggestions and there are playlists made for you like every single day. Like there's like 10
Yeah.
playlists for each of us and
Yeah.
things like that, but it's not involving other people per se. So yeah, I don't think it's really a social media platform yet, but it does make
Right.
use of the personalization. I do
Right,
think
right,
though
right.
that you do probably need a more robust messaging system to make it more social and to make it more into like, I don't know, make it more, yeah, just personal with your friends.
Right.
Because right now, like I feel like it's every social media's worst nightmare if you have to like take your messages about the platform off of the platform, right? Like we shouldn't be having to text each other or Instagram each other about Spotify Wrapped. We
Yeah.
should be able to Spotify message each other our Spotify Wrapped and post about
Right.
it on Spotify, on our Spotify profiles.
Right.
So yeah.
And I think
Like
that's
it's missed
an
opportunity.
interesting thing was like even on YouTube you have comments on specific media pieces, right? But on Spotify it does feel like this very one direction like consumption of content. Like you will go on there, you will listen to content, you consume it. There's no way to like give feedback or write your thoughts about like yeah, I think you pointed this out the other day like on SoundCloud, there you could write notes along the song and like your comments or whatever on the song. Like you can't even do that on Spotify. And I wonder if like I don't know, I think that would be such a cool feature to have. So if anyone from Spotify is listening, you should add that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about what do you think? So this is obviously a huge success, even though we're critiquing some things about Spotify. Like this is huge. What do you think other brands can learn from the Spotify Wrapped mania that we seem to see every year?
Yeah. I think there's something in there about doing the same thing year over year or having some predictable timeline of this thing that you're going to do. Like, I think, you know, Spotify Wrapped the past few years has been really big, but they've been doing it for a little bit longer than that at least. And I think sometimes these things just take some time to like see people really care about it. So I think having some sort of thing that like your users or your audience can look forward to every year is like one part of that. I think also it like really shows that people care a lot about their seeing like how they have used your product. And I think especially after last year's Spotify Wrapped, so many other brands and companies were doing their own version. Like TikTok had their own version. I guess Apple Music has had theirs now. And I remember even like Strava, like the like exercise tracking app, they like had one that was like, you ran this many miles and you have like gone to all these places. Yeah, I think like now that we can track all this data, people like are actually very interested in their own data and other people's data. Which I think is also, I was reading this article and I think it's like kind of this weird side of things where like a few years ago and even today still, like people are so worried about being tracked and surveillance and like these companies knowing your data. And I think this is like an interesting way that they're almost like glorifying that they have your data and people are like willing to still like share to like other people about like how they've used it. So yeah, I think those are some takeaways for me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple, I guess. Number one, maybe this is a hot take, but I don't know. I'd be interested in your thoughts too. Like, I feel like something that they were doing this year, which I kind of thought was weird, was they were like, for a long time, I feel like they were being like, Spotify Wrapped is coming. Like, it's going to be here. They even ran ads before Spotify Wrapped was out, being like, it's going to be here soon. And I think that was actually maybe a bad move.
Hmm.
Call me crazy, but I kind of feel like it is more, it's like when Beyonce dropped that album without teasing anything, and it was an entire visual album and everyone was completely gagged. Like there's something to the
Yeah.
surprise factor, and also that saying like, oh, it's going to be out next week gave the opportunity for like these knockoff apps like InstaFest. I don't know if you guys did this.
Right.
To come out before and probably take some of the like market share sort of.
Interesting.
And I don't know, I kind of feel like keep them guessing. I mean, obviously it's going to come out like before the end of the year. So like we know
Right.
at some point when it's going to come out, but like, I don't know. I kind of felt like their like soft launch was a little strange. Maybe some people would like that because then it like gets people hyped about it, but it also gives the opportunity for other people to come in and make their own version ahead of time.
That's a good point. I kind of see, yeah, honestly, I kind of agree with that. I think saying like I ran across a Twitter ad on Twitter like the day or two before that was like Spotify Rap's coming soon. Like this tweet to like let us, so we'll let you know when it's out. And I was kind of just like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll see it in a few days. You know, and like yeah, it did really take like something out of it for me because I definitely would talk about it less with people. Like I'm not like I think most people were like realized that it was coming out, and so I definitely wasn't like, oh, Spotify Rap's out. Like, did you see yours? What's yours? Like, what? This is mine.
Yeah.
I think it like made me actually share a little bit less because I figured everyone else knew, and I was like, I'm not gonna like bring this up.
Yeah, it's not some
Yeah,
like
I
cool
like
thing
that
I
idea.
found out first.
Yeah.
I think also just treating your audience members like give them something to be selfish about is a good learning. Like ultimately, I think a lot. Okay, yeah, like some of it might be for connection while you're posting your Wrapped because you want to see who has similar taste as you, but also like a lot of times I feel like people want to show off that they have like cool music taste, that they're like have different music taste, that they have artists on there that no one's ever heard of, or like they have you know the coolest artist of the year or as their number one. So I feel like give people things to be like to almost brag about themselves without having to brag. You know.
Yeah, like, and I think the piece of Spotify Wrapped that feels the most like that is the like I'm in the top X% of listeners, because that's really like that's like it's almost a prize. It's like okay, not everyone can get that. Like anyone could listen to like this one song a billion times, but like you're in the top like 1% or less of listeners. That's pretty high up, and people realize like how big of fans they are. And I think that's like something to have over other people in a way. It's just kind of weird to think about, but yeah, I think there's definitely that element.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else you wanted to note about Spotify Wrap before we wrap? and I don't mean we're gonna spit some rhymes.
I don't know. I feel like I'm curious to see how they evolve, I guess. I think like the past few years it has felt pretty the same every year. It's like the same kind of vibe. They do some like they have some quirky lines in there. Like I saw some article that was like Spotify Wrapped called everyone an onion this year or something. And I was like, they did. There was like a line in there. They were like, you have layers like an onion. And it was like, oh, okay. Like, I think at this point, they've just been doing like the same thing every year. And like, if it works, great. But I think there's going to be a point where people are like, well, you know, like it's not going to hold forever. People aren't going to be as excited about it forever. Definitely. So I'm curious to see how that evolves. Like, and maybe they do need more of the social aspect. Because I think in one of the slides, it was like, say thanks to your favorite artist. And if you click that button, it would take you to Twitter. And it would be like, tweet that you like this artist. And it's like, yeah, this feels kind of weird that I'm just going to post on Twitter some random copy. Like, So I think if they could integrate more of that within the app, that would be helpful for them.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
They could. It feels so easy, but maybe it's not. I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I'm curious. I wish they could like show the data on like how many people, you know, engaged with it over the years. I'm curious to
Yeah.
see if this year it was a little bit down.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like actually up, but it felt down. You know, like
Hmm.
it felt. I'm sure everyone did it because now we know that it's a thing, but I'm
Right.
not sure that like everyone posted about it as much.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I
maybe the
wonder if there
usership's up,
was.
but the sharing is down.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. I think there's also some element of like, it's kind of a meme now. Like, you either love it or hate it, I think. And
Yeah.
there's been so many people like talking about like no one cares about your Spotify Wrapped, and like
Right.
oh no, like everyone like I care about your Spotify Wrapped. So I think that this
Right.
element of like becoming a meme, they're in that phase now. Where last year
Yeah.
I think everyone was like so excited, and now it's like this like thing that is controversial almost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Interesting. Well,
time will
everyone,
tell.
I hope that your Spotify Wrapped was exactly as you had wanted it. It is a reflection of you because it is what you listen to. So if you aren't happy with it, change.
You have control over this.
You have control. Grace, it's been real as always.
Yes, it has been very real.
And we will see you guys in the next one. If you haven't done your wrap, go do it and let us know who your top artists are. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.